Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. And it is Saturday, which means it is time for Star Trek. And today we figured that before we moved on to cover Deep Space Nine, that we would bring on some guests or a guest and see what their favorite Next Generation episodes were. So we've got on top of Skep Hammer and Irate, we have Dax Orion with us today. Hello, sir.
Hello.
And how are the rest of my panel doing?
Great.
Groovy.
Awesome.
Now I want to eat Frosted Flakes and watch Evil Dead at the same time.
Just call me Tony.
Oh, I want to watch Evil Dead now too. Oh, damn
Oh my
it.
god, I know where it is. I'm going to watch it probably later tonight now.
Give me some sugar.
Kettle the King, baby.
Yep. Hell yeah. So today we are here to talk about the episodes that Dax picked, which are Hollow Pursuits, The Inner Light, and Lower Decks. And there are three really fun episodes. Well, Inner Light's not really fun, but it's a great episode. And so like we usually do, we're going to go in chronological order and talk about Hollow Pursuits first. And what I usually do is I summarize them and then we kind of go into why the person picked the episode. So Hollow Pursuits is basically centered around Lieutenant Reginald Barclay and his addiction to the holodeck and the fact that he uses the holodeck to cope with his social anxiety, basically. And the interesting thing about this episode is that the problem with the Enterprise is the subplot instead of the main plot. Because usually when there's something wrong on the Enterprise, it is the main focus of the episode. But this time, Barclay's issue is the problem, and it ties into the Enterprise issue because he's on the team that is trying to fix it, but he is the focus of this episode. So Dax, what makes you like this episode?
I think it stems when I saw it originally as a kid, because I was around for the TNGs to be released, thankfully. And I really enjoyed the holodeck as a cool thing when I was a kid. As I got older, I realized that he was a shut-in indoor nerd like I was.
Yeah.
And, well, was is a general term. I still am. But he really is an interesting character because he's not like the others. He's not the confident guy. He's not the swooner. He's not the battle-hardened warrior. He's the dude that screws up because he gets nervous. And you're going to find that most of these picks are a lot like that. There was another one I was going to do, which was Parallels, which I heard... which one of you did that?
Hammer did. Hammer did it.
Good choice, by the way, Hammer. Very
Thank
good.
you.
But I had to change my mind to Inner Light at the end. But originally, all the choices had to do with some sort of what-if story. And I always looked at the holodeck as sort of a what-if. It's like, well, what if you decided you wanted to live there and instead of reality, and you wanted to get all your problems gone and just shape the world around you to what you want it to be? Is it even viable? And and it just continues to like blow my mind what they think you can get away with in the holodecks.
Is this the episode where like he's like part of his deal is this like sexual thing with Counselor Troy?
That's
Yeah,
it.
it-
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Well, because it starts the intro before the opening credits. It starts with him, and you think he's just in 10 forward, right? And it's really cleverly done because at first you think that it's just Barclay in 10 forward, and then Riker comes in and gives him shit for being late or being in 10 forward on
I
duty.
remember this episode.
And he just fucks them up, right? And then you're like, okay, wow, okay, this is a holodeck episode, but why is Barclay beating up his crew and on the and then I really like it because it switches right to normal TNG operations after the opening credits. It's not holodeck.
Right.
Right. It's
what I liked about that opening scene in the holodeck was the pacing, because at first you're kind of going, this could be happening, just a
Yeah.
really obnoxious guy, and then when he puts Riker in a wrestling move,
Yeah.
let me talk to Picard. you know that this is either the guy is insane in his head, or it's a holodeck episode. But
Yeah.
I love the way it leads you in. That was just extremely well written.
And then it moves right into talking about a staff meeting about Barclay.
Right.
Right? Like right after the opening credits, it's Riker, Geordi, and Picard talking about like Barclay.
Can I just say something about this? Because I actually have a little bit to say about this
Sure.
episode.
Hey, I chose well then.
Yes, you did.
Yes, and actually, I like this episode because one of the things that I got to thinking about was with my overactive imagination, what I could do with a holodeck things could get very strange.
Yeah.
You just don't
I think
even
we
know
all
where I
have
could go
that.
with that.
Well, I think yeah.
No. Hang on. Let me just get this one concept out. What I don't get is, why isn't everybody totally addicted to the holodeck, vying for time constantly on the holodeck, stressing the ship's energy output because they all want to be on the holodeck at the same time? And why isn't holodiction, as Geordi puts it, a much bigger thing? The other cool thing is there's a parallel right now, I think, in society that's going on, and that's a addiction to games. Games are our holodeck. You go play Overwatch or World of Warcraft. You're in a different world. You're slaughtering the monsters. You're cruising through
VR,
man. And without paying any physical price, without any discomfort. You're doing all this cool stuff. And getting to role play whatever world you want. We're working on the basics of a holodeck right now. I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off, all right? It was the most significant thing I had to say about the episode, and I wanted to get it out there.
I love it. And it's very human. I think that Barclay's a very human character.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest. Usually people fantasize about people that they see a lot, right? Or they interact with a lot. And so that felt that this whole thing kind of buys as a real dude,
Yeah.
It's like, so,
of course of course if you're on a ship, like even on a naval ship, if you're with, male and female crew, you're bound to have fantasies about your mates. And like for Barclay to have, Beverly and Troy in his little I love that, Beverly's like giving, be manners, my son, or Master Barclay will spank you again. Like, what? Such a great, oh man.
Yeah, Counselor Troy's reaction when she encounters her doppelganger on the holodeck it's everything but a hissing cat.
She's the one saying, "Hey, we can't interrupt this because it might be good for him, and we have to figure out what's going on." And Riker's like, "Fine." They come upon it. She's like, "Okay, this has got to stop." He's like, "No, let's see where it goes."
It would be like a girl.
Computer, belay that order.
She walks up to muzzle it.
It'd be like a friend from work coming over and then finding your sex doll that looks just like her.
I can explain this.
If you think about it,
That's exactly what it is, right? That's exactly right.
It's the way that Riker says that he doesn't want her to stop the simulation. He's so gleeful when he says it.
He's so happy.
Computer.
He turns to LaForge and he goes, "Very healthy imagination." What do you say? And Shorty's like,
I love seeing that side of Riker too. I love when he comes out of his plastic boy toy, thing that I unfortunately, kind of tend to see him in mostly.
Yeah.
Little comedy.
Yeah, and throws a little humor out there. It's refreshing. And he did it well. That was very well acted, I thought.
Yeah.
I agree. And can I just say the sword fighting scene is hilarious?
Yeah,
I was just thinking about that.
Do I detect a stripe of yellow along Goodfellow's back? You know,
Mm.
it's like, oh my god! They must have had so much fun
Oh, the cast.
filming
I
that
imagine.
scene.
you know
Yeah,
they would. You know they.
Sarah, you have no sense of fair play.
yeah. Or when the holodeck Picard is like, "Who is that? One of your allies?" And he goes, "Jean-Luc, not that old trick. I'm very disappointed in you." And then Riker and Geordi's just like, like, but it's really, really. I like that it ties into the problem that the ship is having. Because we find out that there's an element that I can't remember the name of.
Invidium.
Invidium, that's it. That's interacting with parts of the hull, some of the systems, most notably the valves that control the warp plasma.
Yeah, the antimatter.
The antimatter injection valves. Yeah, that was slightly terrifying. And it basically, Barclay has to come out of his shell to help save the Enterprise. And he has to overcome his anxiety basically to interact with his mates to solve the issue. And he ends up making friends by doing it. And I like how, and it wasn't a forced way that they had that happen either. Like it wasn't the oh, let's be friends with the poor, awkward guy. After that, it was, hey, you've earned our respect. You've overcome something that was really difficult for you. And you saved our asses.
Yeah, he saved the day.
And now we would like to count you among us. You have, you still have your quirks and everything, but we are almost more willing to deal with them now because you
Proved
you
your
have
worth.
proved your worth to us. And I like that. I like that it's not just the token. Like nowadays, they give you the token disabled person or the token mental illness without, and everybody just likes that person, right?
Right.
Without any reason.
Right.
But with
I
Barclay
like it
and
because
Geordi,
you're so diverse.
yeah. But with Barclay and Geordi, you've got people who have proven that, and without even mentioning their infirmity, that they are worth it, and that they are like valuable members of the crew, and that I think is a lost art in TV and movies. Just in my opinion.
No, I mean it's the way it really should be. It's the best way to show how it would be done in real life, not just instant. Oh, this person's this way. Accept them. No, you're showing how he evolves from the beginning that we meet this guy throughout the rest of the series and beyond, and he grows as a person, and that's far more compelling than just hey, I'm the can-do attitude disabled person. Love me.
Yeah.
Are you saying Star Trek is a meritocracy? Is that what you're saying?
I would never risk my career on saying anything. Oh wait, I don't have one. Yeah.
Demonetized.
Hey, facts.
Demonetized. That episode, that plot does not get made that way today.
Mm-mm.
Today, it would be a
Me too. and shit.
woman of color minimum. You know,
Oh, without a doubt, it has to be a gender
With
swap,
very
probably an
specific-
alien race.
yeah, and comes out a total Mary Sue at the end.
Mhm.
Not only saves the ship, but builds another ship completely from Tinker Toys.
Gets promoted to captain.
Right. Yeah, is promoted to Emperor, Overlord of the Universe, and Captain of the Jedi. And what the fuck, you know?
Wrong franchise.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
I'm still bitter about Star Wars.
It's like,
Anyway,
what's her name?
not with
Dax
you, man.
Riri Williams, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I hate Riri Williams. Freaking, I could do a whole stream just on her. I think just she and Kamala Khan are the worst things that I think have ever happened to Marvel. And I've read a lot of crap, but they are just bad.
I feel you, dude.
We all do. We all do.
No, but this episode was funny. It challenged your views on it.
It
Yeah.
did. It wasn't normal Trek.
I like
But
that
it
normal
was-
Trek.
Yeah, man,
But
it's
it
like
had,
a
like-
good break.
Yeah,
You know,
it
my
had
comic
elements
relief.
of Trek in it, though.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
a normal Trek, but you had your holodeck, you had your engineering problem, you had, but it was also a very, like Irate said, a very human episode.
It was
Mhm.
very well conceived and very well written, I thought.
I think it was very self-aware too.
Mhm.
Not a lot of tongue-in-cheek shit going on. I dug it. It's a great.
It was so well written, and the character was so
Sally
well
Caves
developed.
wrote it.
Mm.
Who did?
Oh.
Sally Caves.
Oh.
And can you remind me who that is?
From what I'm looking at, she went to the University of Rochester, and she created Barclay as a whole.
Ah, gotcha.
Ah,
So she's the idea
That's good.
behind Reginald Barclay.
Which is probably some projection on her part, which proves that a real person can do real things.
It was so well written and so well acted that
yeah. It's
it
tight.
introduced Barclay to the show as a almost permanent resident. From that point
Mhm.
on, he showed up in 4 more episodes, not including his episodes in Voyager, which he showed up in 4 of those. So I mean,
Yeah.
it really introduced him as a character midway through the season. It's like throwing
Yeah.
709 in the show.
Yeah.
Right. Or it was like what they tried to do with Issa Laren.
Yeah.
Set her up.
Just
for
not very
Deep Space
well.
Nine. Yeah.
Well, the actress, I can't remember her name, Michelle Forbes, I think her name is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
Didn't
left.
want having to do with it.
Yeah. And so
Oh,
Kieran
that's
Reese was
fake.
born. So sorry about that.
She should have stayed on. I mean, I liked the character too for a while. I thought,
Yeah.
well, if
It
they're
was
going to give
great.
me the Bajorans, this is great.
Yeah.
She's very cool. Good actress, good character.
I do like Ro better than Kira.
Kira's like,
Sure, I hate
She's too freaking preachy for her own good.
Oh my god.
Yeah, just
Everything
shut
this,
up.
that,
Yeah.
Bajorans, prophets. Like, shut up.
we hate Kira. We hate Kira.
Not everything about her, but
Shut
the
your
majority
mouth.
of her makes me want to punch a wall.
Her character is very nominal on my part. It's like she's
Yeah,
integral
nothing to any scene.
because she's a fucking Bajoran. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
She's a Bajoran piece of furniture.
She really is. She's supposed to be
Yeah.
the one we were supposed to relate to, as if there were no other Bajorans we could have liked. And you know what they should have done? Okay, it's going to tie into one of the episodes I chose later, but it's what is it? The lower decks.
Lower decks, yeah.
Right. The character that is the Bajoran girl in there.
Sito.
Yeah, Sito.
Yeah.
If to spoil what we're going to talk about later, she ends up dying at the end of the episode. At least we're told that. What they could have done is have her show up at like a POW camp later in DS9 and brought her back. People
Yeah.
liked her character enough that they put her in 2 episodes. One where Wesley was in that flighty school like controversy. What was that called?
Yeah,
Red Squadron.
first duty. First duty when he was in the Nova Squadron.
Nova Squadron.
Nova Squadron,
And they tried to do the Culvered Starburst maneuver,
the Starburst.
And then
and
people
ended
died.
up blowing up one of their teammates.
Yeah, and then they brought her into another episode. That
Yeah.
to me is great continuity for one. I mean, absolutely.
Agreed.
phenomenal. It's just,
I do.
Yeah.
I like it too.
so good. That was another one of my potential choices. Just the ramifications of children's.
I have a lot to say about Lower Decks. It is not one of my favorite episodes.
Ooh,
I am
well,
going to be very critical when we get there.
ouch.
Ooh.
I might be a little hurt by the end of this.
Well, no, see,
we do this on the stream. We do this.
This is the good thing about this stream is we sometimes when one of us picks an episode, some of us go, "What? Why?"
Yeah,
Why in the name of God?
Yeah. I'm not that bad. I have some criticisms, so let's just put that.
That's fair. I mean, even there's episodes I love that I just can't understand certain choices on how the episodes go.
Yeah.
I gotta admit that was part of my choices was try to make sure I picked ones that not only that I liked, but that no one else would hate.
I'm surprised that's the one people don't like because I would have thought that this one would have been the one people like.
I picked Masks,
Right?
And Inner Light was my honorable mention.
Yeah, it was because
I love that episode.
And speaking of Inner Light, we're gonna move on to that one, which and it's this is a great episode. I think Patrick Stewart said that this was his favorite.
It does not surprise me.
Yeah.
And this episode centers around Jean-Luc Picard basically gets knocked out. The opening scene
is the flute.
This is the one.
I was so excited when I even commented to Blind when she told me.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh boy!"
I was so excited. This episode.
So he gets there's the Enterprise encounters this probe, and it ends up sending out this beam that literally strikes Picard unconscious.
Right.
In the opening scene of the episode. And the show basically switches back and forth between the bridge and like Riker and Crusher and crew monitoring him and trying to figure out what the hell the probe is doing. And Picard basically living a life, like a very, very reduced, like technologically life of a totally different person. Like they don't call him Picard, they call him I think it's Kamen.
Yep.
Yeah. And eventually he starts to actually believe, like for a while he's like, no, I am Picard, I belong on the Enterprise, what is this? And everyone's like, no, you've been sick, right? You've been sick, you've had this fever. But eventually he starts to believe that he is Kamen, and he ends up having a family with this woman, with a woman who he basically wakes up with, at when it switches in the first time. She goes, you've been sick for days, Kamen, and he's like, what? And that's his wife. And basically the episode basically is Kamen's life.
Mm-hmm.
Can I start gushing and tell you why I like this so much?
Let's let Dax do it first.
Okay, I think we're going to probably repeat a lot of themes on that one.
Go ahead.
I love it just because first off, it's a character episode. It's literally a what if everything was a dream sort of thing. I like those episodes. Just call me corny if you will, but when I always see a what if, I'm like, yes, I already have the established. Let's see what differences happen. What similarities stay the same. For instance, him being an Iron Weaver as Kamen. That's always fascinating to me because he's a builder instead of an explorer. He's meant to sit in one spot and continue to improve the world around him as opposed to discovering what's around him. That's a good juxtaposition for Jean-Luc. I also really enjoy that no matter what happens, he still picks up a telescope and is like, "Yeah, look at the stars. It's all cool."
Yeah, he's still and he still likes to go tramping through the hills and dig things up and look at rock samples and look at
the scientist.
Like he's always, even as Kamen, he's taught his daughter to be a scientist too,
which is so touching. And then of course, I mean, it's just the whole thing of him accepting the new life is very Picard-like. He would easily, I think, adapt to just about anything you put him in. And he found his own way to make a niche in the society that's foreign to him. And eventually, even though he doesn't necessarily believe he's Kamen, he's like, well, this is life now. This is what I'm doing. I best figure all my stuff out because it doesn't look like I'm going anywhere anytime soon.
Right.
Yep.
And then he has his family, and he learns how to play an instrument, which is, just awesome because that stays with him for the rest of the series. Again, continuity. These episodes establish such good continuity.
They do. They really do. And it's just amazing. And the way that when he realizes that this was a memory, basically, like an implanted memory, like a colonial memory, basically.
Yeah.
At the end of the episode, Patrick Stewart does such a good job because, like, there's a minute where he goes, "It's me, I'm that someone," and then you realize, like, everything about the Enterprise and his old life just comes rushing back, and he's like, "I'm Picard. I am the someone that this memory was for, and this is going to stay with me now."
He essentially lives decades as somebody else. What an experience to have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's like waking up from a coma, not remembering who you were because it's been so long, and someone's like, "Oh, well, this is my life now."
And Riker, and he goes, "How long?" And Riker's like, "About
25 minutes.
25 minutes." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Minutes. 25 minutes."
That's amazing.
Like, and the only thing he has left is that flute.
Yeah, which they find in the probe itself, and that's just, to me, it was amazing because in his experience in their life, he doesn't even know about the rocket. Really, he doesn't know what they're doing. But of course, the original came and did, and was very involved in it. And that again shows the differences in the people's choices. Would the same person make the same sort of choices? Also brought up briefly because of this whole thing. If you think about it cerebrally, which this episode is very good at, and it's just. I even like the name of the episode is great too because it's off a George Harrison album. It's the B-side of Lady Madonna,
right?
Which is it's just great. I love it. This episode just so good.
It is. It's a beautiful episode, and the way that they end it, just sitting in his corner,
so somber yet so hopeful that he remembers an entire history for someone who can't speak for themselves anymore. You'll never know about them except he knows.
Yep.
He is the walking archaeological find of a millennia for that entire system.
It's just amazing Star Trek. And like, I can't listen to that little flute song without crying. Like, it makes me cry. It's just so pretty. And when there's an episode in, I think it's season 6 or 7. I think it's season 6 when he falls in love with one of his stellar cartographers.
That's another good episode.
And he ends up showing her the tune and the flute.
And they find this nice little niche to go sit in
and they
play
the piano and the flute to get, like, she improvises a piano line along with the tune, and they're sitting up in engineering somewhere playing because of the acoustics.
They were in a Jeffries tube somewhere.
A Jeffries tube, yeah, that's right. And it just it always gets me. Like, that tune just it's so simple, but it's so pretty.
It's such a cool little instrument too. I mean, it's basically a penny whistle, but it's so awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I believe somebody else is going to gush about this.
Yes, Skep Talk.
What? Yeah, you actually said a lot of the things I was going to say.
Told you that was going to happen.
One thing though, that one reason, and I'm going to get a little bit personal here, has to do with my career as an officer aboard a Navy ship. I got out of the Navy in 1979. Now, when I was aboard a ship, as a young naval officer, you're trained to do everything from take sun and star sights and moon sights to reading the tides, to do piloting navigation, operations, engineering. I could go down in engineering and light off main steam, get the ship underway, seamanship. You know, every piece of you just gain a tremendous amount of knowledge in your first 2 years as a young officer in the Navy. And when you get out of the Navy, unless you continue on in a seafaring occupation, I mean, I went to work for a pharmaceutical company to exploit my chemistry background. So, you know, I left all that knowledge behind. In a way, if you think about it, I sort of duplicated what Jean-Luc did. He left his career as an officer aboard a starship behind and lived an entire life subjectively, even though it was only 20 minutes in ship time. He lived in, you know, what felt to him like what it has felt to me an entire lifetime. And the ending for me was, what if you went back aboard a ship right now and it was only 20 minutes after you thought you were taking a nap or something, and you were back there and had to function?
Yeah.
And I've lost so much of that knowledge. I would be hard pressed to carry out the duties that, you know, were second nature to me back in the day. And that was an interesting thing about that. And then I realized that the higher you are in management, the easier it would be to reassume your duties, because what you're doing there is basically managing technical specialists. You don't have to have that plethora of technical knowledge, you know, in each particular area that junior officers and senior enlisted people tend to have in the Navy or in the Federation, right? Am I making any sense, or am I just blurring?
Well, it's
Makes sense to me.
Because if you think about it, even when he was living as Cayman, he became a leader.
Yes.
In his community.
Yes, and you know, that's what I was thinking more in terms of was being thrust back into that position, back as captain, after having felt like he's lived 40 or 50 years away from that. He's just felt like he's just spent 50 years away from that. And all of a sudden he's back and it's 20 minutes later.
Yeah.
What would that feel like? Can you imagine the disorientation? First of all, you would have to feel, and then
for sure,
you know, there'd be stuff that you forgot years and years and years ago. You haven't thought about one bit of that since then, save through your own recollection.
That's probably why he just kind of looked at Riker and went, "You have the bridge."
Right, exactly.
And just kind of was like, I need to go sit down for a minute.
Yes, exactly. I've just lived an entire life, you know, and I that's one of the things that I love that episode for, that feeling, for that aspect, that wrinkle in time type of feel that it has to it. Anyway, I thought that was an absolutely brilliant idea. I have no at all as to how it was carried off. It was just brilliant all the way through. Loved it. Loved it. One of my favorite episodes. I can't say enough. And yes, I get misty at the end too.
Every time.
Yep.
That would be my detraction from the show, or from that episode a little bit, is I'm not a big fan of episodes that leave me sad.
There's
really enough.
See, it's not really
in the world.
sad though.
It's sad. Those people died because their technology couldn't keep them up.
Well, that's okay.
But it's good that the information got passed along and to pass down to future generations of people, so they'll never be forgotten.
I don't know if you can really say it was passed along. One person has that, and that person's going to die.
But he's going to tell other people, knowing Picard. I mean, he's a published author in their universe.
And is telling people really going to keep that alive? Can you ever really feel what those people felt?
I don't feel what the Mayans felt, but I know that they were there and that they did stuff.
Hammer, Picard hasn't even been born yet. Of course he'll keep it alive. He's going to live forever. Don't think too hard about it.
I don't think Hammer buys it.
No, Hammer doesn't.
Not buying it.
Hammer's firmly rooted in reality.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to keep your world alive, would you made it so it only happened once? What about the scholars who would like to go through that same process as Picard went through? People who, are in the field more than Picard. Picard's a Starfleet
Actually,
captain.
that is really, I hadn't thought of that because I just love this episode.
I did think about it a little bit. From what we gathered, there's the one rocket. Yes, I mean, at least that's what we remember the sensors telling us and all that. What if, though, there were other scattered remnants of it, and we're just only seeing these people talking to him because that's all we found so far? What if the rest of the Federation eventually finds those other independent whatever groups, Carnassians, whatever? What happens if they find other things like this? They'll get the same information, and I'd be very, very unbelieving that a entire civilization would only send out the one beacon.
Not only the one beacon. Here's another thing that you just triggered. It's the first.
I triggered you. Oh my god! I'm sorry.
No, you triggered a memory. You triggered a thought. I actually had an original thought, which has been 5 years. That in my head, and that was, if they had the technology to rig this probe, tell me they didn't have the technology to get to another world. Not a chance to at least launch an arc into space.
Maybe, but it all depends on what you're paying attention to when you're building your society. If that's an important thing for you,
no, there's a general rise in level of technology. That at least that's the way that I saw it.
But I don't know. It's a lot more resource effective to build something small than to
size
build.
Every woman does.
Well done, sir.
We can make assumptions and suppositions and what ifs and stuff like that, and that's cool. But the episode doesn't really portray that.
I don't know. It
certainly had the opportunity to say this is one of 17,000 rockets we sent out. And they never said that. So
that's because it's a self-contained story too. I mean, if they had outright said, "Yeah, we sent out millions of these things," you just happen to run into one.
I think we're trying to gild the lily. It's a great episode. It stands on its own, and
I don't think we need all that extra stuff. I'm completely with you. It's a great story, and I'm glad it was told.
Me too.
EVL1 says, what about time? If you found out you were going to die in a year, you wouldn't have time to build an arc. Yeah,
that's like me waking up in the morning.
Yeah, they weren't listening to him. If you remember, he was the one saying, hey, the soil's going bad, or things are happening, people are getting sick.
Yeah, the sun is getting stronger, the soil's going bad, we're running out of water. And everyone's like, no, until they were like, oh, shit.
Didn't the governor who had come around say, yeah, we knew about that, but there's nothing we can do?
Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure he did. I'd have to rewatch it.
He says, can you imagine what the reaction would have been?
Mass panic. That's what I think they're trying to do. So
yeah, exactly.
Irate's backstage. He got
yeeted.
I was wondering what happened to him. Sorry, Irate, I'm coming.
But suffice to say, though, I mean, I don't think there's anything they could have done at that time to prevent anything. They were just doing what they could last minute.
Sorry about that, dude.
No problem. And that's what I find sad about it, is if they had been a little more technologically advanced, that they might have survived. And that's what I found sad about it.
Yes.
I can get behind that, yeah.
They seemed like really
nice people.
Nice people. They seem like not just.
Wouldn't you like to live there? Wouldn't you like to live among them?
Yes,
I did. That's what I wanted. I wanted to live there.
They were hardworking, loving, supportive,
genuine people.
Genuine,
positive
race of people. Yeah,
right.
Oriented toward life and growth and development and goodness,
cooperation.
Yeah, you got the feeling nobody ever had a bad day there.
No, I didn't get that feeling. I had a feeling that people had bad times, but that they were never alone.
Right. Community seemed like the big part of that episode.
Yeah.
But even the guy who was the putative bad guy, the councilman, was not. It turned out he wasn't really a bad guy. He was just doing the best
he was scared. He couldn't. There was nothing he could do.
He was dealt a tough hand. He was doing the best he could with. Exactly,
Yeah.
Dax. So I don't know. But anyway, yeah. I just if you told me that I could go live in that society, I would be off in a shot.
As long as I knew the sun wasn't going to supernova.
Yeah, as long as even
if
if
they
it
found
wasn't
a
my age,
planet,
it's not a bad way out.
That's true. Well, you'd want to die in a ball of fire?
Sure, why not?
Well, it depends on how quick the wave's moving, but if it goes supernova, it's going to go quick.
Yeah,
that's true.
That thing is going a decent percentage of the speed of light. It's probably going 3-4% of the speed of light. You're not going to last very long. In fact, chances are you won't even feel it.
It isn't like the slow death of a red giant.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is what we have to look forward to.
Yay!
That's what you have to look forward to. I'm too old to look forward to that.
I don't think humanity will be seeing that shit. So
we as a species.
we will be yeeted long ago.
I'll be shot by a jealous husband.
Ain't no way we're gonna live that long.
Nope.
As a species. So that was the Inner Light, and then we get to the last episode, which was Lower Decks, which I like, but it's not like it's not one of the episodes that I'm like, oh, all right, it's the Lower Decks episode, like, but it's not an episode that I go, oh, really, like the one right before it, that fucking Sub Rosa crap.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a bad episode.
That was terrible.
That's the best part about TNG. It didn't have very many bad episodes, but Sub Rosa was bad.
Yeah.
So stupid. Yay, ghosts.
Yeah. It's so the synopsis of Lower Decks is it basically focuses on junior officers, and I think it's 4 of them.
4 primaries, yeah.
And they're all basically being reviewed for promotion. And one of them, as Dax mentions before, is Ensign Sito, who was Cadet Sito in The First Duty, which was the episode where Wesley and company were disciplined for the death of their teammate.
When Tom Paris wasn't Tom Paris.
No, he was not. He was
not yet.
Nick Locarno.
That name. He got some of the best names. It's Tom Paris. God.
Yeah. So we've got I can't even remember all of their names.
Okay, well, there was the human male, which is Sam Lavelle, I believe. The Narciso Jaxa, Torque, who was I'm losing my freaking brain here. I was gonna say the Spock, but it's Vulcan. Yeah,
Vulcan.
Thank you. Hey, I've been up for a while. I'm tired. Okay. And then there was the fan favorite of mine. There was Alyssa Ogawa.
Yeah.
Like, I like her. She's fun. She doesn't get in a whole lot of episodes, but she's in a surprising amount of them. But yeah, there's I'll let you continue. I just remember their name stuff. So
it basically centers around them and their daily worries. I remember that the Lavelle character is very anxious about Riker's opinion of him. And people are trying to get him to, telling him ways to, warm up to or get Riker to warm up to him. And eventually, it centers around those 4, but eventually Sito is given a mission to basically go with a Cardassian to pretend to be a Bajoran kidnap victim, so that they can get some info or some intel about the occupation or in the demilitarized zone. and unfortunately she ends up dying. But we find out, and I don't know. So that's just basically the plot. But what did you like about this episode, Dax?
I'm a fan of slice of life sort of things, and this episode starts out very heavily as a slice of life. As you said, it's just basically 4 ensigns who happen to hang out together. One of pairs, roommates, the 2 guys are. And it's just cool hearing what the non-main characters are up to, what they do every day, what they have to worry about, and how they handle interactions with their superiors. And we actually get to see a little bit of attitude changes between the main characters because you're looking at them in terms of a boss now. Like you'll hear like Geordi talking to the Vulcan, and it sounds a little more harsh than what he would do to say one of the crew members like Riker or even to like Crusher or something. It's a nice change of pace because as somebody who was in management for several years, it's just something you got to do. You got to learn to be able to separate, your business and your pleasure. And it's interesting to see that all go down. Of course, then there's the main plot, which, to be perfectly fair, there's a main plot, and most of it just follows Sito. That's her thing. And she's disgraced from the whole incident in First Duty to begin with, and she's trying very hard to prove that she's worth a damn. And Worf gives her that chance to do that. He pushes for her to get promoted, thinks she should, move on and, redeem herself, and she wants to make him proud. And as a kid, I could see that being a big thing. It's like you just want to make the person who believes in you happy that they had that faith to begin with. And that's what made me remember the episode at first before I remembered any of the other guys. But then you even look at the other guys, like we were talking about how Sam was trying to impress Riker, and he didn't have a clue how to do it. And I know most people have a problem with that. They're like, how do I make my boss like me? How do I stand out from the crowd without seeming like an absolute douche or something? And Riker thinks he's a douche at first. And Troy has to remind him, it's like, hey, you were young once and you did this presumably to get to sit at the table. He's like, no, I just like the game. Well, did it look like that to to your superiors, you think? He's like, yeah, I've been a little too hard on the guy. I guess I'll give him a shot. And I really enjoyed that. It's like they do all the same stuff that the main characters do. They play poker for one. They go to 10-4 to relax. It'd be interesting to see it from the non bridge officer's eyes, and we got to take a little glimpse into that, and I really appreciated that.
I did like that too. I thought it was interesting. I really liked the test that Worf had Sito doing.
The blindfold test, yeah.
The blindfold test.
I forget the Klingon words for it.
So do I. But
the Geek Tall Challenge.
Thank you.
That's right. But she's like, there is no challenge.
Doesn't that mean to the death? He's like, yeah.
She says, sir, is there really such a thing as the Geek Tall Challenge?
No.
And Worf says, no, there is not. But perhaps next time you are judged unfairly, it will not take so many bruises for you to protest.
Yeah.
Very well remembered, because I saw that episode today again to brush up for this, and he says that word for word. Good job.
Worf is
IMDb, man.
Oh,
Worf?
you cheater!
Yeah,
I love
Alpha's your friend,
but I'm giving you the best information.
Yeah, I have to say that Worf, he doesn't get many, like, even for a main cast member, he doesn't get many lines. But the lines he gets,
good lines,
are
awesome. Great.
They're awesome.
Like in the episode when he first mates with Kaylar, and she makes a joke, and he goes, or no, she says, you still don't have much to say, and he goes, people who talk much say little. And it's so true. It's so true.
What was the one with the old couple on the planet that they were the only ones left alive? And he says, nice tea, pretty house. Or something like that. It's like, oh, I got
good
a great
tea,
line.
nice house.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
That one was the Survivors. That was that episode. Or another great line of his.
Someone could have picked that.
Another great line of his is, "It is a cellular peptide cake with mint
Yeah.
frosting."
We all love that one.
With a mouthful of cake when he says it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I love, but in this episode, my other favorite scene is the scene where Sito is talking to Picard,
All right.
because at first, like, and it's
Which
she
one?
takes
The first one, or when she goes back to talk to him?
when she goes back to talk to him,
Okay.
because
Better one.
she has since had that Gictal challenge with Worf,
Yes.
right? And he basically tells her, it doesn't matter who you think is treating you unfairly. You need to stand up for yourself when you think it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And she ends up calling out Picard, and Picard is like, I chose you specifically because of what happened. And he was basically like, he was basically wanting her to call him out.
Exactly.
Like, he was
I
pushing
love that.
her.
Yep.
He was pushing her buttons to make her call him out, because he wanted to see if she had the gumption to do it.
Mm.
And I really liked that play between the two of them. I thought that was really, really well done.
I did too. In fact, I like the test that Worf did. It's a test that doesn't really test what it's testing. It tests something else, gets another message across. And then I love the echo of that same feeling with Picard saying, well, by the way, I asked for you to serve, and this was to evaluate your fitness for a very difficult, dangerous mission. All that stuff goes into this, making her character more and more interesting. And this is what pissed me off about this episode. Her character is interesting to the point of, this should have gone on to bloom into a major sub arc into everything, and she gets killed because it was convenient and they probably ran out of time toward the end.
Yep.
And you just go, really?
This is another potential Barclay.
I was so disappointed by that.
Yep.
Like Dax mentioned that they could have done a DS9 arc, but what could have been even more poignant is they could have had her captured and put in a POW camp, like Dax said, but they still could have had Ensign Rowe that episode where Ensign Rowe goes in undercover. And tries to rescue Sito, and then has her killed along with the old man and the people that she's become friends with. Because then that would make us feel more like bad.
There's a lot of things that Star Trek does when they things that they could have done, and this is one of the things that they should have done.
Yes, this was just cheap and crappy to kill her off. And it made me there. I have some other minor things, the way that the ensigns talk amongst themselves. I mean, I've actually been a junior officer aboard a Navy ship. Mm-hmm. I know how ensigns talk amongst themselves. That's not how. Anyone who talked, I know it's not the same. This 500 years of future, and it's all different. But what I'm saying is the flow of the conversation didn't feel natural to me.
Mm.
And the way that Sam was sweating the promotion and crossing his fingers and holding him up. No. You're a junior officer. You're so full of yourself. You just graduated from officer candidate school or the academy or whatever, and you're coming out of there like a ball of fire. You're psyched up. You're probably taunting each other with bits of knowledge. That's what you talk about in a wardroom table. Not or a bar. You don't sit there. I hope. And I just thought, God, what a worthy little turd. And it made me not like Sam very much.
Well, do you know who was more genuine and more like an officer than the officers?
Was
Was
the
that
barmaid
civilian
barman.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Totally. You're right on
And
the
he
money.
was more of he had more of a rapport with the senior staff.
You notice. Yes, exactly. Because he was normal and natural. What he said made sense.
Well,
You know.
and he even said that because Sam's like, "How can you talk to them so easily?" And he's like, "Because I just talked to them."
Yeah.
They're
I'm a
they're
civilian.
people.
I'm not Starfleet.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing is that those I don't know. I've just never met another a junior officer like that during my time in the Navy, and I don't think they exist, and they didn't feel real to me. The best one of the lot by far was Sito, by far. Although the Bajoran wasn't too bad.
She was the Bajoran.
I mean, not the Bajoran, the
Vulcan.
The Vulcan wasn't too bad. He was
And
a
did
little
you
bit of a
know-
dork, and that was sort of made him adorable.
Did you know that is the same guy who plays Ensign Vorik on
No,
Voyager?
I did not know that. All Vulcans look alike to me. I'm
That
sorry.
is Ensign Vorik.
They're Spock and everybody else. Well, Sarek.
Is that the same actor or is that the same character?
That's
Same
the
actor,
same
not the
actor.
same character. No.
actor.
Okay.
It's not the same character.
Okay.
No, they gave him a different
Name?
name and character.
That would have been great
Yes,
to give him to be the same person. That would have been really good.
would have
Oh,
made
man,
more
cool.
sense because for him, like it would have made more sense for it to be the same character because Sito was his friend, and then she got killed, and for him it would be like logically I should go and join the Maquis and.
We were talking about how we love the continuity, but there are some times where they should have put two and two together on their own, and we shouldn't have to say it, 20 years later.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's a missed opportunity there.
There's a scene in here, Skep, that plays to what you were talking about earlier about how Riker actually has a bit of a joking side. Again, it was really quick. It was only a couple of camera shots, and that was it. But it's when when him and Troy are first talking about how they're going to go about promoting these people.
And, when they're sitting together in 10 forward.
Yeah, why don't we just give everybody promotion and call it a night, Commander? And of course, she's a lieutenant at that point. She hadn't gotten her commander.
Yeah, she didn't get the LT.
Right.
Troy comes back and says, "Fine with me, Captain."
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was a great. I'm so glad you called that out. I thought that was a great moment of fun.
I could see officers doing that.
I love Riker when he does that.
There's something about Marina Sirtis when she jokes, where she kind of cocks her head a little bit and smiles.
Yeah,
that's almost a signature move for her. Every time she makes that same kind of joke, there's a little bit of, when she kisses him, when he has the beard in the insurrection.
I kiss you and you say yuck.
Yeah, and he walks out and she kind of turns to the camera and cocks her head and smiles and walks away. It's the same look. She does it through a bunch of different shows.
Yep. Yeah, and she's not actually my favorite character on on TNG, but she does have some moments, just like they all do, I guess.
I wouldn't mind having somebody like her as a counselor.
She seems like a pretty good counselor. Yeah.
I don't know.
You don't hear too many psychotic breaks on the Enterprise.
Yeah,
I was just doing something right.
You would think that they've probably been through some pretty serious vetting at the time.
All the kids would have been like, "Man, I've seen some shit."
Well, plus the fact that humanity has been expanding geometrically for a long time. What happens is you get many, many more of the best and the brightest, and the best and brightest get even bester and brighter. It's the India Institute of Technology phenomenon, where people think, all Indians are brilliant. Well, not all Indians are brilliant. Many of the Indians who come to this dot not feather, who come to the United States are brilliant because they are produced by this giant people battery with 1 billion people in it. And these are the people out of 1 billion people, that's 3 times the size of our country, who rise to the very top and are selected scientifically by the state to go and attend. They only have one Harvard. It's called the India Institute of Technology. It's their MIT, Caltech, Harvard, Princeton, Yale, all rolled into one. And they come out of there, and then Microsoft and Oracle and whatnot go and Google and just go and harvest those guys and bring them over to the United States. That's literally what is happening. They come over here for 10 years, and then they take the money and their expertise back to India, which is interesting phenomenon. That's not important right now. Anyway, you have a similar thing going on, I think, sociologically in the Federation, because you've had hundreds more years. You have an awful lot of people making, you're going to get with advances in technology and everything else, the best and brighter, they're going to be more numerous, and they're going to be better and brighter than we are now. And so you would think that anybody who got to space would be the best and brightest of the best and brightest. And you would think,
Well, and I think most of them, I think you've got, obviously, they talk about psychological tests in some of the episodes. Like in the Schizoid Man.
yes,
They mention the psychological tests that they had to do before being, sent, basically deployed.
yes.
And in the episode Coming of Age, when Wesley is doing his first testing for Starfleet Academy, they have the psychological profiling test. But I think and Voyager this does this a bit better. Anybody, even the most psychologically sound person, when confronted with certain things, is going to have an issue. So
I would agree.
it's just how they handle it that makes them officer worthy, right? Because everybody is going to face adversity sometimes, but if you can deal with it, then you would be a good candidate for going to space. But if you can't, then obviously you're not going to pass the psychological rigors and tests that they're going to put you through.
Well, I have a question for Skeptok about military procedure. While you were talking, I was reading up on IMDb about the episode, and there's a part where Riker gives Lavelle a command, and Lavelle replies with "Aye, aye, sir," 2 eyes, and Riker gives him a hard time. Says one eye is only what's necessary.
One eye will suffice.
Yeah, and according to IMDb, that's not true. I can read the IMDb entry if you want. It says, after Ensign is ordered to return to the original heading about 6 minutes in, the Ensign replies, "Aye, aye, sir." Riker then admonishes him with, "One eye will be sufficient, Ensign. This is incorrect. Aye, sir is used when agreeing with or replying to a senior officer. Aye, aye, sir is used when acknowledging an order." Is that true? Oh, we lost Skep. He's muted, so he's not here.
Oh, his dogs might have.
But he has he's got a new microphone. His dogs won't bother his new microphone.
Instead of BRB.
Yeah, he'll be. Yeah, I just saw it in chat. It's BRB.
Yeah, his dogs are probably making noise. I didn't know that, but
I didn't know that either.
I thought it was a stupid objection because I had always remembered it being aye as yes, we're doing this. I'm following your order. Where I thought I was a quick agreement, but also following an order.
I honestly thought that Riker was doing that just because it was promotion time and he's kind of being kind of a stickler because this ensign's being a kiss ass, obviously, and
He's looking for
wants
any
to.
reason to give him a hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Because honestly, Riker seems to be that kind of. He seems to me to be the kind of commanding officer that would be okay to get along with if you didn't, like, on purpose try to kiss his ass.
Yeah. He's
Like,
the kind of guy I would probably be when it comes to that. It's like, do your job fine, we'll be great. And if you say something funny, I'll laugh.
Yeah, but if you, like, try on purpose to be funny and, you know, you try to be my friend and you try to endear yourself to me, I'm just going to be like, dude, fuck off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and I think that's most bosses, right? Most people in command. That's how I would, if I was in command, that's how I would be.
That only kissing ass to begin with. So that's an automatic get away from me.
You know what's weird about this also about this episode with Sita Jaxa? She the actress who played her name is Sharon Phil. Only was an actor for 4 years, starting with Next Generation. She was in a couple other shows after that. But after 4 years, she quit acting altogether, like drop dead stopped.
Really?
Yeah.
Mhm.
After she did her 4 year stint, she went on to be a crisis counselor or something like that.
Who are you talking about?
Sito Jaxa, the girl who played her, Shannon Phil.
Really?
Yeah, she just out of the business entirely.
Wow.
Not even left California, everything.
Wow.
Yeah, just
Smart move.
got up and walked away.
What a smart lady.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they killed me off like that, I'd have gotten out of too.
Well, the episode was in
I'm just teasing.
72, and she stopped acting in 75, or was it 82 and 85?
It's probably later than
Wait.
that, actually.
For a
92,
TNG?
95?
TNG is in
92. It would have been 94 or 93.
All right, so it's 92 to 95 was when she was an actress. I didn't.
Either way, she's still pretty young. I think she's only like 10 years older than me, if that.
Yeah, so yeah, she acted for 4 years, Star Trek being the first, and she acted like in Murder, She Wrote and a couple other shows after that. But 4 years in and then out completely. And you don't see her in any kind of that's what I'm looking for, retrospectives or anything like that. You know, when Paramount says, you know, where are they now or whatever, or you know, they'll have like a DVD box set come out and they'll have extras on there, like people who were in the show that were on for a short period of
She's
time.
never there.
Never there.
Interesting.
I don't think we're the only ones who have a special place for her. I think if you ask anybody who's into Star Trek, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, whatever happened to her?" You know, they're all going to say the same thing. Whatever happened to her? So it just seems weird that she completely just packed up and walked away.
That's fascinating. That I have to know more about this.
So
There is
Hammer,
no more. I couldn't find anything. There is no more.
Hammer had a question for you while you were muted.
Yes. What?
There's a scene where Lavelle is at the con, and Riker tells him to change direction for the ship, and Lavelle replies with, "Aye, aye, sir."
Yes.
And Riker says, "One eye will do, ensign."
I hated that. And here's what's going on. Just a quick review of the term "aye." II is the only, and this is in Navy regulations, II is the only correct response to a lawful order. Is aye, sir. That's the only, and that you're taught that at officer candidate school, and you go aye, sir, all the way through officer candidate school. As soon as you get out, you are instructed. Enlisted people say aye. You don't. You're an officer. So you say yes, sir. Okay, and so. So my first problem was, that he's using words that I was accustomed to uh, enlisted people using, and that's like a Navy tradition. That's not something that would be likely to change. So that was strange. And the other thing is, I just saying I is a really, really super informal way of acknowledging an order, or just you know, giving an affirmative back. I sir, it'll be done.
Oh,
Whatever.
sorry.
All right.
And so the uh, that scene just that I was like insta cringe. I just went, no, guys. Oh, you should have just. Is nobody in the Navy out there in California anymore? Did you not have anybody you could talk to? Not one person could have guided you away from that moment of ultra cringe.
Do you think that it was them trying to have Riker? Because this is what I said when Hammer pointed that out. Because I said, do you? It could be Riker because this guy is being such a kiss ass and he's annoying Riker.
Yeah, well,
that he's kind of like it's wrong writing.
yeah.
But do you
remember
think the idea?
when he volunteered for the extra shift, he calls it a shift. It's a watch. Well,
Yeah.
did they not have a guy who had been in the Navy advising them, saying it's called a watch? It's
Well,
called
and they've used the
not a
term
shift.
watch before. They've
yeah, exactly. It's very
it's not like they've always said shift.
yeah. I'll take another shift.
They've said duty watch for like all of the series.
Yeah,
and Deep Space
that-
Nine and
that-
Voyager.
But the other thing is that first of all, when you're at sea, you're usually so tired. The idea of taking another watch on top of the one you just stood is wrong for many reasons. You're exhausted. And the second thing is that when you come off a 4-hour watch, you're drained at sea. And all you want to do is get an hour of rack time before you go back to your normal duties. See, you have your normal duties. You have and that's 8 to 12 hours a day, your normal duties. Then you'll stand 1 to 2 4-hour watches a day. You notice how that only gives you, like 4 hours to sleep on some days.
Yep.
That's what life at sea is like for a young officer. That's what it is. It's your hazing. It's like going through residency in medical school. That's what they do. And sorry, I get ahead of myself. Anyway,
It's all good.
the upshot of this is that the guy never would have said, "I'll take another shift." If he was trying to kiss ass, there are a million other ways that you would do that. You'd make some suggestion about operational readiness or something that you'd studied up on and boned up and call out some obscure fact that you know about to show how hard you're working. That's the kind of stuff that junior officers do to impress they think it impresses their superior officers. Superior officers just roll their eyes.
Well, use the excuse that he's trying to get more practice, and I think that was him trying to say to Riker, "Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty good, but I could always be better."
Yeah, and as a by the time I got out, I was a senior junior officer. I was about to become a mid-grade officer, and I was a senior lieutenant. That's another thing. Guy says, he's an ensign. And he says, "I want a promotion to lieutenant." You would never say that. You would say, "I want a promotion to JG." That's what lieutenant junior grades are called. They just referred to in slang as JGs.
Yeah.
And making JGs, turning the butter bar to silver is, the gold bar to a silver bar that means that you're not a complete fucking idiot anymore. A CFI. Which is a naval term, and that you know your ass from a hole in the ground. Walking around the ship, you've got your basic skills down. And the other thing is that in the Navy, unless you've done something of court-martial offense, everybody makes it from ensign to JG. If you stay in for the 2 years, unless you resign your commission for some reason, but by that time, you're motivated and fit for duty. Unless you have a physical problem, you will be promoted to JG. That was another.
Or your name is Harry Kim.
Yeah. You know what I'm
That poor bastard.
So there were a lot of little things that kind of made me cringe that they could have avoided so easily just by talking to somebody who was in the Navy, just to make it sound, to give it verisimilitude. Is that the term for when something has the appearance of sounding real, and would give it more credibility, make it, because they generally do that. There's so many similarities to the American Navy, particularly not the British Navy, but the American Navy in the series. So many terms that they use. I can't believe somebody didn't go over the script and say, "Okay, this is wrong. This is just amazingly wrong." And somebody with a little bit of experience in the Navy just advising them, junior officers don't talk this way. They just don't. If you're going for verisimilitude, you need to just make a few easy changes, and it would have made a lot of little things better. And then there was the big thing of having Cito die at the end, which I just, I was disappointed. I remember the first time I saw it, I just went, "Really? She's fucking dead. I don't believe it." I was appalled.
And it was interesting. Well, I guess the Cardassian was supposed to be on their side, right?
Yes.
Because he was even upset.
Yeah.
He was like, "She's a child."
Yep.
Basically, right? Like,
I think that you would be so young or something like that.
She said it, or he said it after she left the room. So I think she'd be so young.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if he said it to her. Yeah.
No, he said it to Picard, and I can't remember who else was in the room. I think Worf was.
mm.
Maybe Riker. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think these were all very, very awesome choices because they weren't they were either what if stories, or they didn't focus on the usual stuff of Trek. So I think those were good, very good choices. And this means that we have reached our conclusion, which means we're moving on to Deep Space Nine next week.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
Sector.
I will have to abstain from next week.
Okay.
Per
football?
Yeah, with Dad.
All right.
He's like, it's LSU game, so.
Oh yeah.
And then the next one's Auburn after that. So, but there's like 3 games in between all that.
2 of us are gonna abstain.
Yeah.
Oh, are you gonna be away next week?
No, week after next.
Week after next? Okay.
Auburn, Alabama game.
It's the 30th.
My dad was a dean at Auburn.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's a big Auburn fan. I'm a big Alabama fan, so it's kind of like
it's a tradition now.
Yeah, we're starting it.
So next week, so that means it would be Hammer, Skep, Dax. Would you like to join us for next week?
If I don't end up starting work next week, then yeah, sure.
Sure. Okay.
Just keep reminding me, 'cause I'm not going to remember. I'm terrible at dates.
No worries. So between me, Skep, and Hammer, and Dax, who wants to choose 3 Deep Space Nine episodes that they like the most?
I'm going to have to go through the synopsis on that one too. God.
It's going to take me at least 3 weeks to pick out one episode that I like.
Okay. Shall I? Then I will bite the bullet. How does that sound?
You go first, and I'll go second, because I've been watching a lot of DS9 recently.
Okay. Well, I will go first, and I will send a DM to you guys by Tuesday or Wednesday with my choices to give you guys time to watch them.
I'm so glad, because I really like DS9. I mean, I do. Remember, I'm sorry, but I do. I the more I watch it, the better I like it. It's like the opposite of Voyager.
It's funny. I can't wait till we get to Voyager, and you are not looking forward to it at all. So
Oh, I can't wait for Voyager either because I love Voyager.
Am I the only one who likes them all pretty much fairly equally?
I just
Yeah, I'm
know-
kind of in Dax's
Anyway,
boat
that's my
there.
problem.
They all have their flavors. If you
Right. That's what I
stand
mean.
back
It's like different soups.
and look at them,
That's what I'm
TNG
saying.
didn't really get up to speed very quick, and Voyager got up to speed quickly, but they did a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff.
They
So
were
they had their own flavor of that, and then for me, DS9 never got up to speed. So until or at least Worf got on board. So
Yeah, well,
Wait.
there's about 4 seasons of that, so.
Yeah.
yeah, that's where I'll be concentrating.
Yeah. It's funny because Janeway actually makes some pretty good decisions as a CEO.
despite breaking the Prime Directive more often than anybody else has ever
Yes.
broken the Prime Directive.
Not only does she break the Prime Directive, she breaks the temporal Prime Directive too. It's like
Right, yeah.
she wasn't satisfied with just killing the normal stuff. She wanted to go after the weird stuff.
Iconoclasm.
You pissed off the time cops. Come on.
But the Prime Directive has an implication for the TV series, which is basically you can't do some really interesting. You must never do some really interesting things, because in breaking the Prime Directive, you get to do some really interesting things and explore some interesting things. So,
well, the episode Drumhead was about how many times Picard. Well, one of the lines was about how many times Picard had broken the Prime Directive. What was it, 11 or something like that?
Yeah, it was 10 or 11, something like that.
Yeah, and she says, "Surprised the hell out of me." I was like, "Yeah, surprised the hell out of me too." Is it really that many times?
Oh yeah. Even I've just finished watching an episode. It's a one where they run into the this planet that has that green energy cloud, and basically tells Data, "All right, we were gonna wait for everyone's mind to send them away, but you're immune, so you're gonna have to cover this up, or we're gonna have to kill your ship." And then they go back because Data can't tell them what happened.
Right.
And that reminds me of that whole thing. It's like, great. They broke the Prime Directive because they sent a probe through there anyway. It's like, all right.
Pincalo says, I just want to know how the Prime Directive works when you're the only ones out there. You have to make contact with both sides. He's not wrong.
I mean, you got to do what you have to survive to an extent, but giving like replicators or whatever to the Kazon would have been a very stupid idea.
Yeah, well, they never did.
Yeah,
that.
Michael Jonas.
Well, stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought the kids were horrible.
Cabbage Patch Heads.
They're supposed to be like the Mongolians of Star Trek, and it's just terrible.
I never understood their hair.
Didn't fucking work, man.
I never understood their hair because it's not hair.
I mean, I'm glad it got the the ginger bitch out of there, but that's just
the ginger bitch, yeah.
What was her name? Start with Seska. Thank you. I hated her.
Yes,
I hated Seska too.
But that's good. You're supposed to hate her.
Right, yes. I get it, but I'm glad that she went with them.
Who am I thinking of, man? Who was that? Neelix's girlfriend.
Cass.
Yeah, Cass. That's who I couldn't stand.
Neelix is such a cradle robber. Holy fuck. I mean, I know her species only lives like 10 years, but god damn, dude. She was like 1 in the first season.
Yeah, but her 1 is like R15 or 20.
Really? I thought she was 3 when we met.
No, she was 1. But when she left Voyager, she was just turning 3.
Oh, I thought she was turning into the Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, but you're looking at numbers. I mean, if you look at her, does she look like she's 1 year old to you?
No.
That's because they mature.
Theologically, she's ready to go.
Yep.
She was just a horrible actress.
Yeah, and she's absolutely batshit insane. I'm sure you've all seen that. So.
Oh yes.
She had some mental issues before while she was in the show that she's actually really extremely shy, and she was talked into playing that part. She never wanted it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
She was pretty okay for the most part. She was okay as Cass.
I thought she was cute.
I thought Cass.
Yeah, she's a pixie. Yeah.
Hello, Alex. Apparently, Alex is screaming because he can hear me through the speakers. Hello, Alex.
Yeah, I'm looking at the list of prime directives, prime directive violations. Everything from Voyager Infinite Regress, TOS Bread and Circuses, TNG First Contact, Voyager Caretaker, Private Little War, in the original series, Patterns of Force. TNG Who Watches the Watchers, TNG Too Short a Season, TOS Patterns of Force. Yeah. Time and Again, 30 Days, Pen Pals, Homeward, The Masterpiece Society, Star Trek.
Jeez.
Jesus, you know, there were lots and lots and lots of. That's about half of the list, by the way. That's lots and lots and lots of violations of the Prime Directive.
Can you quickly count who has the most?
I can. It'll just take a second. Hang on.
I'm willing to bet the TNG does.
2.
Yeah.
I thought it was TNG myself. Yeah, I didn't think it was Voyager.
Oh wait.
It's got to be
It's
either Voyager
my
or
eyes
TNG.
just tell me that it's Voyager.
Really?
Really?
I'm eyeballing this thing. I see. Oh wait. No.
My mind says rules are made to be broken.
They don't put TNG, so that's actually TNG is more. TNG is a little bit more than Voyager.
Yeah, I know she broke it a lot, but I'd assume given the amount of time and the less two-parters, because that's the thing about Voyager you got to remember too. There's a ton of two-parters compared.
Oh yeah, there are 11 two-parters in Voyager.
Yeah,
I mean, I know TNG has its fair share, but I think there's only 5 or 6.
TNG like set the
Redemption 2, the price 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 TNGs is the champ actually.
Yeah.
Pinkella, that's because of the prime directions.
9
Yeah.
years.
13 though, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I always thought it was 11, so I missed a couple.
Well, I was counting those up. I may have a duplicate in there. It's either 12 or 13.
Oh, I'm sure you're right.
Yeah, keep in mind that a certain percentage of them are prime directives that they didn't mean to do.
Yeah.
They didn't choose to do, that they were forced into it. The one where Wesley has violated something, was going to be put to death on the planet.
Oh, yeah,
look, I know that we had this law, but
Justice.
don't fool Wesley.
Yeah.
Of course, I was saying, go ahead, kill Wesley.
Yeah.
Because he went on the grass.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. He touched
So
the
what do you
grass.
do? You know, it's not like they
Kill that motherfucker. It's like
choose to
Man,
do
if
it.
I was ever aboard the starship with Wesley on it, I'd say, Wesley, I need some help with one of the airlocks. Go
Hey, man,
inside and tell me if the light comes on tell me if the red light comes on. Just signal me with your hand.
Y'all remember he was in Nemesis for a brief moment, but didn't have any speaking lines, right?
I think so.
Yeah, he was sitting at the table when Riker and Troy were
Because
talking.
his speaking lines were cut out.
That's right, because he apparently had arrived back wherever, and he didn't have any clothes from wherever he was running around, so they gave him a junior officer's outfit to go sit in.
Yeah, he looked like everybody else with the white top and it was one of the nicer outfits. He had the white top that Picard and everyone else had on, but he didn't really seem to fit the clothes he was in. But I've seen the deleted scene. It would have fit. It would have been perfectly fine if they left it in.
Yeah, I mean, like him or not, he was part of the series.
I know.
And most people don't like him.
Yeah.
Strangled him.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I liked the Watcher. I thought he was cool.
Airlock.
Yeah, you could have gotten rid of Wesley. Most would have cared. But I know why he was included, is so like my generation could be like, oh, look, there's somebody I can relate to.
right. That was the idea.
Deck Trent says, what if Darth Vader was in Star Trek?
We'd have a bunch of crushed Borg cubes.
Yeah. Or he would be the Borg Queen's fucking Locutus.
Yeah, because you think about it, he's a cyborg, right?
I want to be you.
A nice mixture of machine and man.
Yeah, the Borg Queen would be going, he's kind of lucky. I like him.
He's hot. I want
me.
I want to give him some skin. I'm blowing it.
it.
My hair stood up.
Talk about
Do we have any artists watching right now? Can somebody make me like Darth Vader making out with the Borg Queen, please?
There's a huge, big difference between the two of them, between the Borg and Vader, even though they're physically a lot of comparisons, but his whole life is his faith of the Force. And you can't ask for anybody more secular than the Borg, you know?
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually.
You are one of the hive.
Only one of the really big deviations between those two platforms. One's very much into religion, one's very much not.
Well, if you think about it, the idea of a Borg Queen is antithetical to the concept.
I was thinking the same goddamn thing.
Yeah.
It always annoyed me that she was a thing.
Yeah.
Good actress, good roles, good speaking, but nothing really makes sense.
Yeah. A management node in something that should not have a management node.
Yeah.
Even Locutus was kind of questionable. It's like, why do you need why do you need an avatar? I can understand taking him for the information to get through the codes, but do you need him?
Yeah, she had the hots for Picard.
And you know what really bothered me about the Best of Both Worlds? It's a nitpick, but when Commander Shelby takes Data to the planet to analyze the traces, and she goes, two more drones wouldn't have made a difference. If the Borg had gotten a hold of Data,
Yeah. It was immediately the first thing I thought of.
Been screwed.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about, you stupid bitch?
Great point.
All it does take is a couple Borg drones to create chaos.
Yeah.
That actress her last name is Dennehy. Her father is a famous actor too.
Brian Denny. Your dad?
Yeah, Brian, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't
Her
put that
dad
together.
is Brian
I see the
Yes.
the
Yes, her father is Brian Dennehy.
resemblance.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
She's hot, man.
Yeah, she's definitely hot.
Hot blonde.
Complete asshole, but
Yeah.
Again,
Character, yeah. she's-
written to be that way.
of course, that's what makes her compelling.
You're
Yeah,
in my
you're
way,
talking
Commander
about-
Riker.
Frankly, Commander, you're in my way.
Am I?
I
How
was-
sad for you.
Too bad it is a Star Trek of the future because I could just see
Take
her
your own
getting
command, you
a
piece of
full
shit.
shot right across the cheek.
I want that job. I want that job, man. I want your chair.
It's like Jericho. Everybody hated Jericho too. It's like, yeah, he makes or Jellicoe, whatever it was,
Yeah.
and he's perfect. It's like, great. I love that you're there.
That's probably one of the best
Cohagen.
written and performed, episodes. Chain of Command.
He did all the
I
best
mean,
stuff.
oh my God, that's
He doesn't get the accolades that he deserves. Ronnie Cox is a fantastic actor.
yeah.
Beverly
And
Hills
with
Cop.
No.
the David Warner.
Oh, my dachshund. No, sorry about that.
It's all right.
I thought you were
Well,
yelling at me.
No.
My children are home screaming, "Mommy, where are you?" So
Tell me how.
I
Mommy's
need
on the internet. Daddy will take care of you while I'm doing this.
Well, I actually do need to go help put the groceries away and all that fun stuff. And we have actually reached the end of our
We're way over time.
We are over time.
Like an hour and a
We're
half.
having fun.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
I blame Skep.
I blame
Five-man crew might be a better mix.
it. Yeah, I think so.
This worked out well.
Hey, even if we did them like this normally, I think if I do get fully hired, it's like a 7 to 3 Central Time for me, so I could be here more often.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
That'd be
Well,
great.
sounds great, Dax.
Really?
Well, I'd like to thank chat for watching and my panel for joining me, and keep an eye on your DMs because I will let you guys know. Hi, Logan. What's up? I am finishing my stream. What's that? That's my coffee mug. And I just want to thank everybody for watching. And with that, everybody.
Keep going.
No, I'm hungry.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Mhm.
They seem like they want to keep going, so I'd say keep going.
No.
No.
No, they've
We're good. I
yeah.
gotta join up with 6 in a couple minutes anyway.
Yeah, I know. And
Your son
I
should run
think
the stream, actually.
He will someday.
he will, yes. Keep it tuned tomorrow for the blind and the special at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central. Pingallo and I will be back to bring you guys our usual antics, and of course the coffee stream at 12 on Monday. Thanks everyone for watching. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, and we will talk to you guys another time.
Bye,
Good night, everybody.
Let us.
All right. Remember, set your clocks back an hour.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Get an extra hour.